values here. So if we look at our base closed loop, we're going to find our base amount. We're warmed up right now, so we're about 40% in our table. The idle control minimum is showing at 20%. If we look at our corrected here, if we look at our correction that we're finding, so let's find here what it's correcting out. So the base is 40, the minimum's 20, the output's 36. That's actually what it's sending out right now to the throttle plate for control. Now what I want to do right now, if we take a look at our throttle plate movement here, let's look around here at our throttle plate movement. We have to find it in one of our windows here, throttle position right here. So seeing it's 9%, 10%, so it's moving that around a little bit. Let's slow this down a little bit. Let's go to our integral gain, and let's use a little bit less of a value in the integral gain here. I'm going to go and reduce this by, let's say, 30%. If I bring the integral gain down, notice that my throttle position is going to move a little bit slower. That's actually what I'm after here. I don't want it to move as quick. When it's hovered into the idle, it'll calm it down a bit. The next thing, if we take a look down here into the minimum output, as I was mentioning before, as we're revving the engine and coming back and decelling into idle, some of that has to do with our minimum output. We might need to reduce this. Let's go and blip the throttle, and let's try this again here. So blip the throttle. We see what our actual output is stuck at here. So it's actually higher than our minimum. The minimum is not creating the problem for us right here. We can see that the idle control output here is roughly 40, 41. Again, the base output is 40, so it's trying to increase it past that point. It's actually opening the throttle plate. Now we see that the wideband's lean, so that's a problem. So let's go back in here. We're going to chase this back and forth till we get this sorted out. Let's jump in here and take a look. So we're seeing some of this instability at idle again. We see that the short term is correcting itself. Let's go in here and add a little bit of value here. So we're going to go and add, go to the 50%, see if that smooths things out at all. It's a little bit better. So what we have going on here is that as our throttle position opens more and more, specifically at idle, it's going in and influencing our air fuel, because as our throttle plate tips open, we need to add more fuel. There's more air, we need more fuel. And the closed loop is trying to correct for this, but it's not able to 100% correct for it. And we're finding that we have a deviation. So we might be able to build a table here and correct our idle area here, specifically for fuel, when the throttle plate is showing movement. So if we say that the neutral position of the throttle plate is something like 6 or 8%, that's where everything seems to be happy, then we can go in and add some additional fuel so it doesn't tax our short-term trim as much. Let's go and do that real quick. Let's go to setup here, and we're going to go to fuel, and the fuel table's into generic, and we can correct this on a generic correction table. So we're going to go here, conditions. We'll say RPM is, let's say, less than, let's say, 1200 RPM. And we're also going to say conditions. We're going to say 2 conditions. And we'll say our throttle position, let's say, is less than 12%. And that should probably be okay as far as our conditions go. So let's click apply. And let's click OK. And if we jump here, we have a generic correction table to deal with, and we can configure this real quick. So what we're trying to do is account for our throttle angle movement, because every time we move our throttle plate in our drive-by-wire control, it's leaning out the mixture. It's changing our fuel mixture. It's leaning it out. So we'll go in here and we'll set this based on our throttle position. So we'll do here throttle. And we actually want our drive-by-wire throttle position. So if we're looking in here, we don't want throttle position cable. We actually want our throttle position itself just as a position here, TPS, right here. And we'll say 0, we'll say 2, we'll say 4, 6, 8, 10. Oops. 10, 12, and let's even do 14. That should be fine. Click apply, click OK. And this is going to allow us to correct based on fuel, based on this throttle position. Let's do one more thing here. Because we've scaled it to 14, let's raise our throttle here to 14 and less. So it's going to allow it to kick into this table. So we'll click apply, click OK. And now we can see as a function of what's going on. So our throttle angle has settled itself down to 7. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.